So we've broken down, I guess this kind of dovetails into what you were asking me before about the different sectors. And I
Mm,
think at this point, we've pretty much established here that speed matters.
yeah.
But how fast is fast enough? A car dealership is way different than financial services, which is way different than healthcare. So,
Mhm.
what we have here are some optimal response times, and they really vary significantly, like we talked about. Um, and let's break down some of these benchmarks here. So for industries like e-commerce and retail, really the expectation is immediate. We're talking less than a minute, which is crazy to think about, but new technologies like what we have help to make this type of thing possible. So like a virtual salesperson that can be on the floor 24/7, or maybe to your point, if I'm working for Frank and I have to respond within 2 minutes, that'd be great, right? So that having a super tight ship to follow up on things quickly, via chat or SMS. And that's why, you go on any.
Yeah, one of the things I do, and I think every business owner should do that. So, listening carefully, guys. But essentially, you can go and check out your competitors and see how fast or how slow they are. And when you see that they're pretty slow, that kind of that should tell you that you should double down on speed, particularly knowing that your competitors are always slow to respond. And the main thing actually that I do just to kind of check that, I go to chat support on the website of my competitors and just kind of type something in like a typical user, and I
Yeah,
just tracking, how long does it take them. But in a lot of cases, actually, these also chat functions also tell you how fast they typically respond. And then this is where you see it. It takes them typically 1 hour to respond, 2 hour respond, or sometimes a day, and you're like, wow, damn. And that's an example. I mean, 'cause, if you will be frustrated waiting for 2 hours, there's other hundreds and thousands of users that are frustrating waiting for that time frame. Um, and then naturally you want to check your own timing as well. Maybe one question here, because you have different industries here. Do you have anything on like tech or SaaS in particular?
yeah, nothing here on tech or SaaS, but just
Mhm.
based off of my own experience, I
Yeah.
think also, I mean, you're talking about 15, 30 minutes. Because from your point before, think about at this point, most tech or SaaS are going to have a handful of competitors anyway. So
Mhm.
it's just good to always be there, prior, even if it's a long, complex sales cycle of 8, 9, 10 months. Sometimes having that first initial, conversation, can help drive the sale through over the next
Yeah,
couple of months.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
And then, kind of looking at more complex sectors like healthcare or finance, maybe not as quick as a used car, or maybe like, booking a local service. Given the detailed response, might take longer, maybe because of
Yeah.
compliance or complexity of the inquiry or something like that. Although instant acknowledgement, we would say, is an absolute must,
Yeah.
which again is also a perfect use case for an AI SDR, because it has that instant enriching experience versus a human, which might have to take a little bit of time. But really, just going down here, I think the key takeaway here is that hopefully this helps people understand ideal response times based on whatever industry you're in. Even if you're more B2B and you're selling to enterprises, this still applies, right? It doesn't really matter. It doesn't, just because you're selling to
Well,
enterprises.
essentially, based on all these verticals, it's within 15 minutes. Essentially, the healthcare and
Exactly.
wellness, and then that's definitely an exception, right? So, but yeah, from all the rest of them, like 15 minutes, and it's kind of similar to also SaaS. Um, but and I bet most of the folks in the audience right now just don't do that. So, so yeah,
Yeah.
I typically, whenever I meet other founders, heads of sales, I do ask them, hey, how fast are you on inbound? And
Yeah.
typically the response is pretty disappointing. I actually don't know why, but like I don't know. I don't know why even though most heads of sales do know that speed is important, why they don't actually tackle it. Actually, in a lot of cases, they don't know it, which is why I ask folks in the audience, what is their speed to lead? So like just knowing how fast you actually respond is another thing actually. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially in larger organizations where you have multiple levels of hierarchy under you. You have your CRO and you have VPs under you, then directors, and maybe a BDR might be, some of those metrics might be so far removed from what a CR is looking at anyway, where they assume it's fine.
mm,
When you actually dig into it, you realize that, oh, wow, this lead sat here for 2 days. And that's really why we have that question on the bottom. It's something to just think about. How long did your last inbound lead wait? Um, There's
Yeah.
some folks on this call that could be selling $1 million solutions. Maybe that went to a competitor. We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
Great.